ICT Functional Skills, Access Database Basics. Topics you need to know. We're going to look at Microsoft Access. You need to know whether to use a database or a spreadsheet. You need to see the basic keywords that could come up, and that'll tell you whether or not it's a database question or not. We're going to look at adding a data file. Okay, so in this tutorial we're going to look at Microsoft Access, which is a database application. The main task we're going to do is similar to that you would do in the exam. We're going to add a customer list to create a table within your database. And we're going to look at a few things you can then do with that table. So we can open other files, and it's not a recent file, so we need to go to Browse. And if you couldn't see it straight away, there's one or two things you need to do. Firstly, it's looking for an access file, and what they will do in the exam, they'll give you a TXT, a text, or a CSV, comma separated file. There's one I need just here. Click on Open. And you did note that we actually had to select all files to be able to see that file. And it takes us through the steps of adding that data into the database. We just read through the questions, it's quite self-explanatory. So the data appears to be delimited. So what is delimited? Characters such as a comma or tab separate each field. And we can see each field is separated by a comma. So that's fine. Click Next. So what delimiter separates your fields? So look at the options. Was it a comma in this case and not a tab? And it was, so it's managed to find that. And if we're unsure, we can check the preview below. So it doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. You can see the comma that's turned into a table-like structure. Now there's just one other thing to be aware of on this page, and with Access, it's useful to do this now. The first row contains the field names, and if we have a quick look, we can see that it does. If we tick that, and it creates the table, it'll have those as the field names, and that's useful to do now instead of later. Go to Next. Now the next thing, you'd normally do this later on in Excel with spreadsheets, but at this point you can tell what each field is in regards to its data type. So it says field name, do I want to change this now? Is that okay? So title is fine. So what type of data is it? And short text is absolutely fine. So surname, initial, even house number, road, city, county, postcode, I would say they're all short text. Now what about this customer? How long have they been a customer since? Look at the options. Look at various options. You see yes, no, byte, integer, which is a number, long integer, a longer number, currency, whether it's a single or double, a date with time potentially, short text, an OEL object, long text, or hyperlink. Now this customer since, I would say there's potentially a date, and if you have time, it'll include time as well. I believe if I'm right, there's another value, a few more here. So driver, are they a driver? Yes, no. I would select yes or no for that. And the age, I'd probably say that's an integer. And it just makes it easier to do this now instead of later. Go Next. I can change the table name, I'm quite happy with this for now. And then click Finish. Now it's at this point a few people think they've done it wrong, because nothing actually happens beyond this message. But we can see this object on the side, and it says this object is under tables, so it's a table. So nothing happens until I double click that, then that table opens. Give it a moment just to open. Okay, so looking at our table on the page, much like in Excel, where we would add filters, we can see we've already got them as part of Access. This allows us to choose and view just certain types of data. So if we just wanted to see Mrs., we would then only view that line in this instance. And we can now see that that has been filtered. We'll go to Select All again, go to OK. You may have also noticed it's got a sort A to Z, Z to A, according to the data type. And we'll select Sort A to Z. To give the marks to show how you input the data and the data types have been selected, go to View and Design View. Here, this is the confirmation that you need to show how you inputted the data and you did it correctly according to the question. Take a screenshot of this page and save it into your evidence document as asked in the question. That is a few easy marks. I go back to the datasheet view again. By selecting under my data, I can easily add another row accordingly. The other parts of the question does get slightly more difficult, and if you can't do it in the next part, you only really lose a few marks, but it's worth exploring. Now, it depends on the question. You'll need to go to Create. You may be asked to do something with a query, a form, or a report. And by highlighting these, you can confirm if you're unsure what these are. So a report is create a basic report of the data in the current query or table, to which you can add features such as groups or totals. A form, create a form that lets you enter information for one record at a time. And if I was doing a query, you've got the option for a query there as well. Now I would use the wizards because it takes you through each step, much like in the Word mail merge. To be honest with you, that's most of the marks that you will need for the paper. You can explore other features, but it's unlikely they will come up in the exam. Now, just to highlight a few things, what throws some people off in the question is, what's the difference between using Excel and Access? Now, normally, if you read the question, you'll know it's an Excel question, because you're normally dealing with numbers and could be asked to present that information graphically, i.e. with the charts. Now, databases normally deal with text values, and then you'll look for some of the keywords we've covered, like query, form, and report. Now indicate that you can use it to access for a database. Now it's not quite as exact as that, but just read the full question and the hints will be in the question. Now whereas in Excel the people as such, lines of data, are in rows and they are separated to types of data by columns, in Access it is more about fields, the type of data, and a record, so that person's record of their information will be the row. If you look for those keywords, then this part of the question should be fairly easy to do. You don't need to go overboard and you are just following the steps. So use a wizard where possible and then go overboard. If you lose the odd mark, it still gets through the exam quite well, and it's not worth spending too much time in Access for the sake of ICT functional skills at least. Okay, and that's pretty much all you need to know. Practice a few times to get familiar with it, and then if you get any issues, look up Access online and watch a few YouTube videos. Practice task. Create a short customer list in Excel, at least 4 columns of data and about 4 rows worth. Include name, town, date of birth, average spending amount, and then save this as a CSV file type. Alternatively, you can use some of the Access demo data, and then you can skip the next step. Open Access and then open your CSV file you've just created. Explore the Access ribbons, focusing on the View drop-down and Create tab. We'll see wizards for creating queries and reports. Take a screenshot of your database, filtered by a location of your choice. Paste it into a Word document and name it accordingly. This is very much like the task you'd get in the exam.